I served in the Army as a UN and NATO peacekeeper in Bosnia. And what harkened up about your film with me and really resonated was, the beauty of the land and the beauty of the people and the beauty of the culture with the conflict of the disgust that I felt at times with the land and the people and the culture and the fear. And I wondered if the guys ever spoke about that with you, that conflict.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's funny because in the film, there's all these little jokes that are peppered in. The guy, something you can't necessarily get. When we had an audience, we first of all showed it to the soldiers who were there. We wanted them to be first to see it. And there's a bit where Bobby, one of the guys, you catch him, the camera's panning, and he's talking about building a ski lift out there. It's not half of it because then you can get back more easy on patrols. But they used to talk about, they used to joke about, this would be a great kind of resort, and so. In that kind of joking way, they're pointing to the same thing that they're saying. Life had its suck, as they would say. But at the same time, it's like one would say, it was like beautiful. It was like Colorado. And I think obviously that kind of those extremes were in their minds. Yeah.
Mr. Junger, concerning your book, I was reading it a few months back, and the whole book, it was bringing up a lot of emotions from me, and I served 3 tours in Iraq as a Marine infantryman. Came back in '06, and really noticed that there was a lot of emotions coming out of me that I had really, I guess, shoved down deep. A lot of primal emotions that were coming out very well articulated throughout the book. There was a point in the book, though, when they had seen some enemy on the side of a hilltop and were able to take them out. And as they were laying there suffering, they were cheering. And I completely, the entire time leading up to that, I'm like feeling that emotion when you're finally able to stop shooting at ghosts and actually hit your enemy. And everybody was cheering, and they didn't want to kill them, they just wanted to let them suffer. And I was completely on board with that. And through the whole book, I feel like as if you're on board with us as well. And then you pause and reflect on the soldiers cheering. And while I completely 100% got that and found myself even smiling, then as you said, you were reflecting on that and saying that it was something that you were going to have to reevaluate. It kind of made me take a step back and took me out of my trance, if you will. Can you elaborate on that as far as what you were feeling at the time?
Yeah, I was trying to understand what I was seeing out there. And I was really close, I really liked those guys. After I got to know them, I really liked them. And there was a situation where they wounded an enemy who was shooting at them. It was a fight. And they wounded him. I think he was hit with a 50 cal and he lost his leg, which you're not going to survive. And it took him a while to die, and they cheered. And I was, in my kind of civilian sensibility, I was sort of taken aback by that. And in the book, I say, I get the need for all the firepower. If someone's shooting at you, you have to do something. I didn't get the need for the cheering, and that guy must have died in incredible pain and confusion, and with a huge amount of fear. On the side of this hill. It just was an awful death for that person. And why didn't they see that? Why didn't they understand that? So I asked one of the guys, Steiner, I asked him about it, and he gave me this great explanation. He said, look, we weren't really cheering his suffering. We were cheering the fact that he's not going to kill any of us tomorrow. Like, he's not going to kill my best friend tomorrow. It's one less guy who's going to keep us from all getting home alive. So now there's like some mother back in the United States who's not going to get the dreaded phone call that she lost her son because that guy who might have killed her son is now dead. That's what they were cheering. And he made me understand it. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it made it understandable. But that's, that's one of the really confusing things about war, is that it brings out incredibly noble impulses and incredibly ugly ones. And it brings them out, not in different people, but all in the same people. Brendan said to me once, Brendan O'Byrne, he said, look, I don't believe in God. I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. But I got to say, this is after the deployment. You know, he was the only guy in the platoon to get out of the Army. He chose to get out of the Army. Everyone else stayed in. And he said, I don't believe in God, but I'm worried what God's going to say about all this. Like, what we were doing out there, he didn't mean we, the U.S. military. He meant we, everybody, the Taliban too, and the locals. Like, what we were doing in that valley, I don't think God's going to be okay with it. And he said, the crazy thing is, this is what's so painful about it. He said, sometimes I'm just mortified by what I did out there. But if I was in that circumstance, I would do it all over again. And that caused him a tremendous amount of torment.